um, just an incredible, unprecedented times that we're facing right now because of this pandemic. And I'm particularly interested in asking your let's say, position with respect to the economic impact that you're all facing in your respective industries. For example, Toyota just announced that most likely they will probably have to shut down their factories and dealerships all throughout the world. They probably will see approximately 80% decline in their profit for next year. So the question number one is that, and let's talk about, I think we have quite a few people joining us this morning from the real estate sector. So question number one is, what are, let's say, the greatest impact that you have faced in your industry? What kind of accommodations have you made for your tenants? And where do you see in recovering, our road to recovery from this pandemic? So perhaps I would like to ask Sorin, what has been your experience vis-a-vis your clients and the real estate industry in general?
Hi, do you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Hello, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sorin Preda. I'm the founder of Global Vision Group. We act as a real estate development platform for about 17 years. Chang, we are very much affected, to be very honest, and it was something that we felt from the first days, from the first hours of the crisis. As you know, probably we have a large portfolio in the office market, but we also developed large logistic and industrial premises. Fortunately, we don't have to deal with the hotel industry, restaurants, cafeterias, and the other kind of real estate sectors like malls and retail spaces. The first effects, as you can anticipate, were coming from the tenants asking for rent reduction, and the subject that we have on the table now every day are very much related to legal interpretation of what does it mean force majeure, what does it mean change of circumstances in the actual market. One on top of the other, we feel it as a very strong hit to come in the office market. In the end of the day, what we expect when the things will go through this sanitary crisis and people will come back to the office, we expect probably a decrease in terms of occupied spaces with some important percentages, maybe 10, 15, 20% requests coming from the companies to give the occupied space back to the landlords. In terms of industrial and logistics, I think we have an opportunity because, as we could all see, e-commerce is a very strong driver for the growth of the volumes sold by various retailers. So I believe logistic and industrial, and especially Romania, has a very good opportunity in this area because we were short with the supply of logistics spaces. On the macroeconomic environment, I think it's much more important to speak a little bit out of our particular context. And we try to anticipate a little bit what is to happen with Europe, first of all, because we are just a small regional market in large Europe, Europe placed between United States and China. So I think the level of uncertainty is quite high. But we have a few positive signs as well, coming from some strong Western economies, especially from Germany. And we have a number of clients who are already thinking of relocating their production premises from China to Europe. So they want to adjust a little bit the traditional supply chain where China used to be a kind of factory of the world, let's say.
Perfect.
And I think, Chang, this is positive. We have to take the optimistic things and the optimistic signs, and we should just try to put our strategy around the table. But on the other side, I have the experience of 2008, 2009, you know. Maybe you know that that was a real estate crisis.
Yeah.
It was a bit different. We expect something much more significant this time. I'm afraid of the resilience of the banking sector in Romania, honestly, because most of the Romanian companies have a poor capitalization. They cannot resist more than a few months. And I was just having a look to the numbers in 2009. I think we lost 300,000 companies, either simply shut down or went to insolvency or bankruptcy. I think this is something that we should try to avoid this time somehow. And the key here, I believe, is the dialogue between the government, the banks, and the entrepreneurs.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that I forgot to state that when you speak, please kindly state your name and the company that you represent. So, having said that, would you like to add anything, Mr. Bensa from Târgu Mureș? Because I believe you're also in the real estate industry.
Yes, we try to see also an opportunity, and we do the same step as Sorin mentioned before. So we sure that our tenants ask for price reduction. That was the first things, and we try to balance and to find the best way and option, and we give them a deduction of the price, but we also ask for have a long-term contract in place. So in our case, in the real estate, we are optimistic, and we make a deduction for 2 years in the rent, and we get 5 years more on the contract. So that's positive on the real estate. Sure. On the construction of materials, where I have 6 plants, I'm positive because the turnover and the business is still the same as 2019. And I'm expecting probably in end of the year to have a kind of shock of the credit line which we have to our customers. But the business is running as last year. Sure that I have also hotel and restaurant which is shut down fully, completely, which is not very, let's say, happy, but we try to manage and to be optimist and to see where is the opportunity here.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to add anything, Radu, from Conchelex?
Hi, Cheng. Hello, everybody. It's great to see you. You can hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So we are grateful because we didn't have a lot of exposure on the private side of the market. So on Radu, we are a construction for companies and real estate developing. On the real estate side, we only do residential developing now. Sure. And what we saw here is that a lot of people are starting to think about moving from one apartment to a house with a garden outside the city, where it's much better. We're actually developing now 1,000 apartments outside of Bucharest, in Mogoșoaia, and we decided to go forward. We are still building it, and this year we will finish the first phase, and hopefully, when this crisis is going to be finished, sales will start to come up again. Right now, they're all stopped. Nobody's coming. Very zero business in real estate right now developing. In construction, on the private side, some big projects were delayed. However, on the public side of the market, there's a lot of investments, as you can see in the press, and we're lucky that we have a good exposure on that market, and we actually hope to grow this year on the construction side. On the real estate, not so much. We also have a hotel which is closed, and we will refit it as an apartment complex. So we will close the hotel for forever, and we will sell it as apartments. We'll reconvert it into an apartment unit. So that's from my side.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Let's leave this real estate industry. I know we have quite a few experts here on this call with us today. But personally speaking, I think this pandemic will forever change our personal habits, whether you are walking, driving, whether you're getting in an elevator, in a public building, this social distancing, this new terminology that we're all so familiar with these days. It's really, it has impacted us significantly. For example, if you look at BMW, it's asking its workers to sort of self-measure his or her own temperature 3 times a day. So, things like Purell and hand sanitizers, which we were not terribly familiar with, it's now forever going to be part of our lives. And so on a personal level, I guess, what, if I can open this question up to other members as to what are the most significant changes in our personal lives and personal, let's say, habits, and what are some of these changes that you're going to put in place post-coronavirus life that we're about to face? So anybody, feel free to jump in. Are we not going to be able to kiss each other anymore? I mean, Romania, with most famous ceremonia, nobody's going to kiss my hand anymore. So what are these changes that we're going to be facing, realistically speaking?
Chang,
yes?
Hi, it's Radu Floreski. Maybe I'll just weigh in a little bit in terms of consumer habits and stuff. How are you?
Fine.
Listen, the situation is very fluid, as you can imagine. The coronavirus impact is always being felt. A lot of people are making a lot of predictions about what life's going to be. And even that is changing on a weekly basis. I mean, if you think about a month and a half ago, people were looking forward to saying, they're looking forward to the statement that the pandemic is going to end. And therefore, they're putting into place plans to address the economy, the reopening of the economy and reopening how consumers and how people live their lives at X date. The fact is, and what we've noticed and what we've seen, is the coronavirus is not going to end anytime soon. I think it's something where it's going to be, a lot of predictions saying it's going to come in small waves, not necessarily the tsunami, but nonetheless small waves, and we have to get used to living with the coronavirus around us. Similar to, you think back to 9/11, after 9/11, you can look at the impact of security around the world, with airports and buildings and mass transport, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to have a much far-reaching impact on all our lives because, it talks about not being able to kiss your hand when you say hello, the social distancing. There's a lot of apprehension from people going back to work, even as some countries start to reopen. I know in our particular case, the Romanian government has announced, as you all well know, the 15th, we can go back to work. You can't be in a larger number than X in a room, but a lot of people are hesitant. And we, in our case, we extended the work from home policy for another month. And I think to give people a sense of a soft landing coming back in, and also to prepare the office for when we do come in. I think it's difficult to say exactly where we're going to be in a month or two now, but I think it's fair it's a fair statement to say that we're still discovering, in the world of a coronavirus pandemic, or even on a smaller scale, is something we just got to get used to. And there's a lot of different studies going on. There's a lot of different procedures being developed for both, retail, offices, and everything else. But the only thing I would say, in terms of consumers and the online and digital world, that is actually growing quite a bit. We've seen that in the work that we're doing both in Romania and Europe. The fact is that people who were somewhat hesitant about using online to do their purchasing, making orders from Amazon or from wherever, they're becoming much more comfortable with that, with those type of purchases. And I think you're going to see a change in the consumer behavior in terms of how they look, even past the pandemic, where they're going to be much more focused on using online platforms, e-commerce, to conduct their everyday lives, not just in terms of purchasing things, but ordering food from delivery, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a general statement.
Mhm. I think sort of related. Did anyone else want to add something to the first question?
This is Jim Rosapep. I'll put something in, obviously from an American perspective, not a Romanian perspective, but it was reference made to the effect of 9/11 in the United States. And a very personal example of that is I go back and forth to New York quite a bit on business. And before 9/11, I normally flew. Well, right after 9/11, they stopped flying planes between New York and Washington for months and months. I don't know when it started. So I started taking the train. Well, I got in the habit of taking the train. I've never flown to New York again since the winter of 2001, just because my habits changed and I was comfortable taking the train and it worked. Examples that I think we're seeing in the United States, and I'd be interested in people's perspectives from Romania. Two areas that have expanded dramatically in the past 6 weeks are telemedicine and online education. I mean, all our kids across the United States basically are studying and with their teachers online to the extent they can. Now, we obviously don't have as many connectivity problems as there are in some areas of Romania, but we have some. But the overwhelming number of kids are doing their schoolwork online. Similarly, the number of doctors and nurses who are interacting with their patients over telemedicine has expanded exponentially in the past 6 weeks. And I tend to think those kinds of changes, sort of like what Radu was saying about consumer behavior, I think those kind of changes are likely to stay. But I'd be interested in people's reactions from Romania.
Anyone want to jump in? No? Clearly, there's no going back to life as we knew it before the pandemic. Certainly, these changes are going to be instituted. I think Dr. Fauci is expected to testify or warn before the Senate about, the risks that we will face in opening too soon. That is the U.S. economy here. And as Romania is ready to reopen or fully reopen or phased reopen, I'm not sure as of May 15th. What would be your biggest concern? Because just like Jim, you said, yes, you no longer fly to New York. You're only taking trains now. Well, how about all those people who don't have cars, who have to rely on public transportation to get to work? What are they going to do? They can't just be walking to work. And you have no other mode of transportation. So I'm just concerned as to what kind of, let's say, sanitary, hygienic practice are going to be instituted in Romania with respect to public transportation, or in public places in which large number of people would have to come together. Any thoughts on that, or anyone from the embassy, perhaps? Because here in the U.S., we're not so familiar with all the wonderful steps the Romanian government is putting in place. And we're curious, as we have to return to Romania very soon for our businesses.
Is everybody muted?
They're all muted.
I think, Chang, you're going to have to be a little bit more teacher-like and call on people directly.
People have to unmute themselves.
Okay, well, let's pick on Josh. Mr. Burke.
Hi, thanks. I don't have any updates or any news that is not readily available in the public domain and open source. So I would just continue to refer you to the government's websites and to you can see things like the English News Press for those who are not fluent in Romanian. For those that are, there's obviously a wealth of material that's out there for you. So no embassy insider information that we have available. So just continue to monitor the press is my only guidance to you.
Okay. Do we have Mr. Parde Cooper from First Bank with us? No. Okay. I believe he's the new CEO of the First Bank. Okay. Well, let's move on. You know, as we are glued to TV stations, you know, from channel to channel, what really affects me the most are these inspirational stories of people volunteering, people serving meals to healthcare workers. And as we continue to experience, and not only experience, but witness this extraordinary time here with this pandemic, I strive for patience. I wasn't always the most patient person, but I certainly have endeavored a great deal personally to strive for patience. And despite all the suffering that we see and witness, I try to embrace for that hope, that human, you know, the humanitarian, the values and most incredible acts of kindness that I see. And for me, I think finding these new perspectives and try to anchor myself with these respective values and giving us fortitude to move forward post-pandemic world. I think I want to ask those members here on the call today as to if you can give an example of one single, let's say, act of inspiration that has given you hope and light in this difficult times that we're facing. What would it be? And would you care to share your stories with us? Georgiana? Georgiana Toader.
Hi. Hello everybody. I'm sorry because it took a while to unmute and to change the video. And I think there are several stories these days that I've seen many companies getting involved in this, helping the hospitals and the people, starting from the companies we are working with closely, from the companies that we are working based on collaborations. And I think it was quite impressive because the people talked to somebody else, but in this time when the financial funds are not quite easy to find. And this is quite impressive because there are companies taking care and thinking about, and we have even here in our members, we have this kind of people that did with their restaurant, they did this job, thinking about those doctors that simply they didn't get a coffee, they didn't have time a coffee, simple human gesture to consider the other person that didn't have the time or the 5 seconds to get a coffee. And for this, I think I could tell you the example of Violeta, that I know she's dealing very, very closely with the hospitals and dealing with her business in the restaurant area, and she took care of this and some other people. She is one of the examples. I know that other person did as well, but I would like her, if she has time, or she would like to tell us a little bit more from the inside, because she was in the first line, let's say, during the last, I don't know, 2 months, dealing with the people from the hospitals and getting through all the phases from getting, I don't know, shocked to whatever could happen there, to getting so calm and so relaxed and taking care of others.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I think Violeta is with us, no?
Yes, I think she is.
Violeta. Ce faci, Violeta? Where are you?
I don't know if she can hear us or she will take a while to get the phone.
Hello, everybody. Do you hear me?
Hello. Hi, Violeta.
Hi. I just heard what Georgiana told about me and my small business. Yes. Thank you, Georgiana. It is true. We are 100% involved in this process with coronavirus because we are operating now 2 private hospitals dedicated for coronavirus. Metropolitan Hospital here in Bucharest, yes, and we try to help others.
Wow. That's indeed, that's very inspirational. I know that Ambassador Zuckerman had also mentioned about U.S. companies stepping up and providing medical supplies and other needs in Romania. Radu, I know that you've done an incredible job from the American Chamber of Commerce as well in this respect. Would you care to explain a little bit more about all the wonderful work that the Chamber has been doing and is doing right now?
Just to let you know, on the AmCham, I'm no longer on the board as of end of March, because my mandate ended. But I do know that the AmCham has been very active in cooperation also with the U.S. Embassy and garnering support from U.S. companies. I don't know exactly, I can't give you the statistics anymore. I do know that many American companies have contributed in the form of support in terms of money or both material to help bring masks, testing devices, and just simple cash. So I can't give you the breakdown in terms of the support and the details of in what form. But I know the AmCham has been very, very supportive of that, and they continue to be.
Wonderful. Anyone else? Can someone explain a little bit about so-called the first epicenter in Romania? I think that was Suceava. What is happening and how we are recovering in Suceava as the country of Romania is about to reopen. What do they need? What have they done? Have the numbers gone down? How they have quarantined? And I hear very little news other than the initial the impact and devastation. So anyone in Romania would like to explain if you know something about what's happening in that part of the country? Northerners we're looking for.
This is Jim Rosenfeld. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, let me ask the question a slightly different way. And this is someone who's in the United States during this whole period. I know Suceava had tremendous tragedy and had very difficult experiences. In general, to what extent has the crisis affected different parts of Romania? I mean, some of you are in different places. You do business in different places. I don't really have I heard about Suceava, and I know in general the problems, but what's the geographic footprint of the challenges of the virus crisis in Romania?
Jim, it's Rado again. I can answer a little bit from what I know. I know Suceava is one of the worst hits. I think Honduras was also badly hit, and I'm trying to think what else. There was 3 cities offhand that got hit more than the others. Bucharest, surprisingly, proportional to the population, was not as bad as some of the other more regional cities. That's what I know. There was a report that came up, I just don't recall by memory. There was a breakdown in terms of the number of coronavirus patients or positive tested individuals and number of deaths. And they seem to be, if I recall, there's 3 or 4 cities that got impacted harder than a lot of the other cities. I just can't remember the breakdown exactly.
Gotcha.
Not so, I think southern cities were not as affected, if I remember. So, I mean, in Dobroja, for example, we're not as affected as north and the west. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
How about in Transylvania, in Turgomorish, Ramesh, and maybe more in your area?
Now?
So, hello again. In Târgu we are on the number 5 place. I want to share with you one of the project which we made here in order to help the people which is infected by this coronavirus. The private sector, together with the local authorities, we build in the sport hall of the medicine of the University of Medicine in Târgu Mureș, COVID hospital, and we made it in 10 days.
Wow.
80 beds. And we were so happy that the people and the authorities from different parties, talking about the UDMR, National Party, Liberals, PSD, doesn't matter what kind of party, they are sitting together, and they come together with supporting this project. And last weekend have been inaugurated this project by His Excellency the President of Romania, Mr. Iohannis, and Prime Minister have been in Târgu Mureș in order to visit them. So yes, come back to the coronavirus. There is many people which come with this virus every day. It's increased the numbers, but in terms of infrastructure and what we can offer and support them, we are well prepared.
That's terrific.
What was on the beginning, it was a week or 2 weeks more than the people. They don't have the kind of garments. They don't have enough, say, products for the protection. Yeah? And that was 2 weeks very, very difficult. And we was very lucky and happy because one of my company, we are in the contract with DuPont, which they produce in the medical garments from 14 years, produce for them in loans. We produce about 11,000 pieces of garments per day. And we are so happy that proud, and how to say, that we was going in the hospital and give to the people, and they almost crying. I have a picture with the people from the emergency hospital, Suceava, Arad, Târgu Mureș, and they say, come on, from where you have this? So looking back 14 years ago, this was not business for us. But looking now what we are doing with these products here, it's really a blessing. So,
thank you. Very interesting.
Wow. This was what I was looking for. These inspirational stories.
and
fantastic.
beside of what is interesting in Romania culture, that the people, they have a different opinion. But when they found there is some problems, and especially the health, the people come together and try to find a solution. Beside of what they talking about TV, beside of what ideas they have on the particularly, that's my experience here in Târgu Mureș, that the people sitting together and talk and see what we can do to help the people. So I was so well motivated, and so how to say, I get so many good insight from these 2 months of coronavirus. We probably, if we made so many profit, we are not so blessing with how many feedback we get in this extremely difficult period.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. This is wonderful. Really wonderful. Anyone else would like to share these inspirational stories? Please feel free to jump in. do we have Marius Bostan with us? Anyone from the agricultural sector?
Yes, Chang. I am here. I try to start my. Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Oh, fine. Thank you for invitation, and I hope the microphone works well.
Perfect.
I am a shareholder in some small companies in the media, smart technology, cosmetics, hospitality, also digital marketing, agriculture, and one in medical sectors. We are struggling to resist, and in some sectors we try to grow. In one company, for example, in the medical technology, it's very hard times for restaurants, for coffee shops, and we all want to find these businesses after the crisis. There's little businesses we love, and we want to have these businesses after. And we start, for example, in one company in the cosmetics to make this kind of sanitize, and we try to help more, because in the middle of the March we not have enough alcohol and enough biocides, medical materials for hospitals and for companies, and we try to do our best to change our product line to cover this request. We succeed in 2 weeks, but the prices grow, and it's not easy now. Now the prices decrease in all these materials, and we will survive, because we will have this first line to defend. And in media, they are very affected. The journalists, they not print the newspapers, they go online, but they have incomes from, for example, for events, and they not make events, and they not have enough money. And we saw in the last months a lot of Russian propaganda and Chinese propaganda. The Chinese propaganda is increasing in Romania. They want to make picture with all the masks and all the materials, with all the cities. They send, for example, 10,000 masks for a face, and after that they want picture, and they want movies in the press. It's very, very. I am very upset about this. And maybe it's good to all American companies to be more present in the media, in the televisions, because in the long term this will affect the people, because they not know exactly, and it's very important to strengthen the Romanian mass media and the press. And we in Romanian Business Leaders, I am a member of Romanian Business Leaders, and it's a strong organization of leader of the markets in Romania, and we try to make projects to help directly, and we succeed to help a lot of hospitals, a lot of places in Romania where the problems are big. And in the logistic and courierat, the businesses increase, because everybody order by internet. And for example, in the restaurant, we support the initiative to make online delivery, and also we make a kind of live cooking show, and a lot of innovative ideas to survive. And if you want to see more ideas about this, I can show you a lot of very brilliant ideas for surviving in these terrible times. And in other things, I want to stress, we expect the American government to support Romania to accelerate 5G adoption, because this is postponed today. I am not sure how is the reason, because the big operators they want to start and they want to pay the licenses, but because of Huawei lobby is very strong. This is postponed today. And it's very important for Romania, the relocation of American companies and Japanese companies from China to Europe. For Romania, Romania can be the best place because we can provide low cost localization, and for this and the state could support specific projects. And we are happy to cooperate in this kind of project in energy, and I don't know, in the all industries. And maybe it's a good time for American government to promote to the American company Romania as a destination for moving, because we are in the near of Black Sea, in the Black Sea, and also we are well connected to the Europe.
Sure.
And
Sure.
can be a good thing for this organization to promote this investment opportunity and relocation opportunity. Romania is a relocation opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
much. Thank you very much.
Absolutely agree with everything you said, Marius. You know, as an investor, U.S. investor in Romania of 30 years, you know I love Romania. In fact,
I know.
you who know me, I mean, I'm supposed to be more Romanian than I'm Korean. So, by all means, I agree with everything you say, but I also want to sort of repeat my favorite saying in Romania, "Hospitas." We're living in an unprecedented time right now, and you know, we are struggling. We are really struggling everywhere, not just in Romania or Suceava or epicenters, but here in the U.S. also. We of course, our problems are much bigger. We are we're managing very well, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time. For me, this webinar, which is the first one we've done from Alianta, has been extremely helpful. And I really want to thank all those who have helped us put this together. Raluca, Georgiana, everyone who has worked on, and Josh and David and everyone from the U.S. Embassy. And also hearing Ambassador Zuckerman giving us that fact-filled presentation was also extremely helpful to me. I think our hour is up now. So I just want to thank you for participating in this webinar. And I would like to give the microphone to Jim for your closing remarks.
Thank you, Cheng, for leading this effort. Thanks for everybody for participating. It was really very interesting, at least to me. And I think a lot of good ideas that, frankly, we'll be able to talk about with Alianta in terms of identifying ways over the coming months we can work with all of you to try to help Romania and help the United States. There are lots of opportunities. There are dangers, but as everybody here, everybody's in business here, you identify opportunities as well as challenges. And so I really appreciate everybody's participation, and think about other ways that we can help and work together over the coming months. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you.